Okay, folks, today we're not learning anything new. We're not learning anything new today. Section 12.5 says methods of solution. All right? And before I start talking about these things, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them, the way you solve a quadratic equation, a lot of it is personal taste. I mean, I've been doing it long enough that when I look at it, I know what they want me to do and I know the easiest way. But a lot of it has to do with what you feel most comfortable with. I find that students generally like the quadratic formula because they don't have to really think about it. In the sense that they get A, B, and C, plug it in, spits it out, done. Completing the square, it's a lot of work. Sometimes I'm getting fractions, adding the whole numbers, I got to get common denominators. Completing the square can be a hassle. Okay? We basically taught you 3 ways to solve quadratics. Factoring, I know there are 4 up here, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Factoring, right? When there's nothing in front of the x squared, factoring is a good way to test it because it could go very quickly. Quadratic formula, if there is something in front of the x squared, bless you, just use the quadratic formula and solve it. It's easy. Okay? We've also taught you completing the square. I don't find completing the square easy for me anytime usually. I mean, I can always do it, but it seems to be the most laborious for me. It's the way that I mess up the most. Okay? The only reason I really like it is because it's the way we can get and derive the quadratic formula. Right? We know where negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a comes from. We can use completing square to get it. Okay? But am I going to use it to solve quadratics? Generally not. Now the 4th thing they have up here is this one right here. If there is no linear term, that means no x to the first, then just get the x squared by itself and take the square root. Okay? That's a simple. That's a simple. But anytime you have it in standard form, you know you got x squared plus bx plus c, you've got 3 terms there, then you're going to want to either factor or use the quadratic, I think. This section is just solving quadratics and you just picking whichever way you'd like to do it, the way that you feel most comfortable. So I'm going to move down here. I'm going to pick my way with the examples, but you may choose another way. All right, looking at this first one, I see that there's only just the x squared term. Whenever I see that there's just an x squared and not an x, whenever I see that, I'm just going to get the x squared by itself. I'm going to add 108 to both sides, and I'm going to get 12x squared is equal to 108. Whenever I'm solving quadratics or linears, get the x by itself. Divide both sides by 12. Don't try and take the square root of 12x squared. Divide by 12. Get x squared by itself. So now I'm going to get x squared is equal to 9. Beautiful. Square root. Oh, variable underneath the radical sign. What does that mean, Grayson? Variable underneath the radical sign. Harrison? Plus or minus. Anytime I take the square root of a square root of a variable, I've got to do plus or minus 3. And that's my answer. Okay? Now I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Could I have used the quadratic? Absolutely. A is equal to 12. B is equal to 0. C is equal to negative 108. If I plug it in, I'm going to get that. I'm not going to take time doing it because this was much faster. But could I use the quadratic? Sure. Absolutely. Okay. I could have factored. I could have taken out a 12. 12 times x squared minus 9 is equal to 0. That's the difference of 2 squares. 12 times x minus 3 times x plus 3 is equal to 0. What can x equal? 3 or negative 3. Same thing again. We can factor. We can use the quadratic. We can just get the x squared by itself. Whichever way is easiest for you. Okay? All right, good job. Let's look at the next one.